Very cool. So we'll record this. Everybody who's here, everybody that registered, we had 200 and some registrations. So we had a lot of interest in this topic. Let me welcome my friend, Katie Braden. Katie and I met, as I was talking about, about 18 months ago, maybe. I was on this RV trip with the family. And one of the very first things, Katie, that you commented on was the videos I was recording as I was stumbling out of the door of that RV early in the morning. And who knows what I was talking about in any given time period, right? Here's what's funny about that series, and I love doing it. I would get out there and I'd give a little tip about business development, but what everybody was interested in was not the business development tip I was giving. It was, where are you now? Right? What I learned at that point, I've been doing video for a while. If you check out our YouTube channel, we've got several dozen videos up there that are, professionally focused and tips for building your business. What I learned was the video created more personal relationship than even like the business tips or the value-based takeaways from the video that was, so yeah, I hope that people appreciated the tips, but it was all about, all right, where are you camping this week? It was like we were building this little follower group of people that were joining us on our journey around the country, which was really cool. So Katie you and I met about that same time. You had some of those similar comments. We started working together with Innovating Advice a little bit, and I learned very quickly the breadth of knowledge that you have as a CFP, as a person who grew up in this industry, following your mom's footsteps for a little while and then branching out on your own. The breadth of knowledge you had on the practice management side and on the marketing side of this business is amazing. And so I'm completely honored that you would join us here today to give your tips. And today we're talking about video. And I think that's a really, really important topic for our audience. But more than that, I want the people that are joining us today to know that video, while that is the focus of Innovating Advice now, is one small facet of your skill set. So, with that, Katie Braden, put them together. With that, Katie, thank you so much for joining me today and accepting my invitation to be a guest on our webinar. And I'm really excited about our discussion and all of the influence and knowledge that you're going to bring to our base of people that are rolling in really quickly right now. That number's jumping up pretty quickly. So, Katie, I'll let you kick it off, and we're just going to, kind of dive into the topic of video, and I'm sure that discussion will go. And anybody who's joined us, put your questions in the chat, because we'd love to know what you want to hear about.
Yeah, absolutely. And Charlie, I just want to, highlight what you said in there about when you were doing those videos and all the ways that people were commenting of where are you and what's going on next? And just reminding everyone that even as financial planners and financial advisors, it is entirely a relationship business. And, as advisors, we're asking clients to be totally vulnerable with their, entire life, all of their goals, their, financial struggles, things that are going well, and so as much as it is absolutely about the clients, it also is kind of incumbent upon us to share a little bit about ourselves, right? To kind of reciprocate. If we're asking them to share everything, well, we should be sharing a little bit. And that's what attracts people. And Charlie, I will always remember that RV video, right? And we're going to be talking about that 10 years from now. Yeah. And having that versus a video just in a, highly produced studio with everything perfect, that's just not as memorable, because that's produced, right? That's the literal word, is produced, rather than just showing up as you.
Yeah, right. I love that. And you can see some things in the background even, right? So I put a couple old relic snowboards back there, which is something, that defines what I did for much of my life, and surf and things like that. So I agree with you completely. I think that one of the key points of creating relationship, leveraging platforms like LinkedIn and other social media, is commonality. If all we're doing is talking about the tips that we provide as a professional, that's all good. But we've got to be able to create some of that authenticity and relationship and commonality with people, because that's what attracts people to us. Our knowledge is what helps us, provide services and bring clients on board, but they're not going to be attracted to that knowledge per se. A lot of it's about personal commonality and the relationship we create in displaying some of that stuff.
Yeah. So one of the, conversations we've had, Charlie, kind of like, okay, well, if we just think at an even higher level around content marketing,
yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
Why is content marketing just in itself important, and advisors have 101 things going on, and you're worried about compliance and regulation and client calls and the stock market and wars and oil and everything else. You're like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I can't add anything on top of that. But I don't know why. I've never in my life worked in the food industry in any shape or fashion, but I always think about it like a restaurant. And you know how you have some of those restaurants that might be, off in an alleyway with no signs at all. There's nothing that would tell you, but it's like, you can only get a reservation 8 months out, right? It's
Right.
top secret.
Right.
That's kind of how a lot of advisors might come across, right? It's like, okay, we're secret, we don't have anything. But think about, creating a restaurant that people want to go into. And you can pick any different cuisine, but every restaurant's going to look different, right? So as people are walking by, you want to have something that attracts your ideal client, that shows your personality and, what services you provide. So for some reason, I always just get that visual of walking down a street and being like, hey, what are you putting out there? And so when we think about it, it's just that's what content marketing is, right? When people look for you or they're scrolling through social media, what are they seeing and how are you attracting them in, regardless of what the medium is?
Yeah. Here's what I love about that, right? So content marketing evens the playing field, right? So you've got these huge firms with giant budgets and competing in a space like, let's say, Google AdWords is very difficult in this industry, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got, Morgan Stanley with their deep budgets, or Edward Jones, or one of these large firms buying up some of the keywords. Of course, that's an auction space. So the more people involved, the more expensive those keywords become. That's difficult for a small firm to compete in that space. Now, if you had a really narrow niche, maybe we could make a case there. You're in the exact same place as one of those large firms. When you're making organic content for social media, for email marketing, whatever that might be, that's an even playing field. It really is. Now, Morgan Stanley probably has more followers on LinkedIn than what your firm has. But if you play the content, it's a game. If you play that correctly, you can get equal billing. It really levels the playing field where now you're kind of spending with your intellectual capital as opposed to with your pocketbook, right? So content marketing creates almost an even playing field, so smaller firms can compete with the larger firms in that capacity.
Charlie, I might actually take it a step further than that because,
Yeah.
we come down from content marketing to talk specifically about video. My favorite part about video is not only does it level the playing field, it actually changes the conversation. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because for those of you that, maybe we're just joining. So I'm in a hotel room right now. We just moved, sold our house in Florida. We're moving back to Las Vegas. So we're in transition. But now that I'm back in Vegas, one of the things that I've wanted to do is actually go down to the Strip and just, grab people, because it's everybody in the world, especially once everything's reopened. Every type of person in the world is there. And I want to ask them, what do you think a financial advisor or financial planner is? And the public perception is still so far from reality. And I know a lot of the names that are on here. I know the work that you guys do, the passion that you bring, the people that you help. And so few people in the public space know that. And so by showing up with these authentic videos, to me, it is the best, easiest, fastest, least expensive way of getting that message out to the public to be like, oh my gosh, what is an RIA? What is financial planning? What are these different fee models? People can help me with what?
Yeah.
That to me is so much more powerful than even a company with a $20 million marketing budget.
I agree with you completely. And I'll share a case in point with you, right? So our mutual friend Blaine was in town end of last week. So we actually had a chance to golf together, which is great. Blaine and I do that when we're in a common area, and we got paired because it was two of us, a busy day. We got paired with two other gentlemen, and a guy, I'm guessing his age, maybe 70, 75 years old. And we start talking about what we do and the industry we service. And he literally said, bunch of crooks.
Right.
Yeah. And that was his word. I was like, whoa.
Perception.
Things are very different. These are not commission-based stockbrokers like you might be familiar with 30 years ago. Right. So anyway, we had to explain that to him, but that is public perception, bunch of crooks. That was his reply. Yep. Right. And I think you're right in video helps you convey, so much about what the industry actually is today, but also it's so powerful in conveying the personality behind you, the advisor, or you, Katie. There's a huge amount of trust that goes into watching video versus, let's say, reading a white paper or some meme or some other type of content that's posted. We got some
Yeah,
questions coming in,
absolutely.
Katie. Comment on that. I'm going to read some questions to myself and then we'll get them out here.
Well, I got the question from Jim, so I already saw that
Okay.
and let him
Okay,
know. So
cool.
if we want to just answer Jim's question now, Charlie, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah. So Jim, thank you for that question. I'm digging back through our scroll here. Yeah, go for it. Authenticity versus like settings and yeah.
Yeah, so this is definitely one of those things with a personal preference, and I try to be very neutral on, all things video and whatnot. But the one place that I do have an opinion is on green screen. And
Yeah.
I personally am not a fan of green screen because it's the opposite of being authentic, right?
Yep.
It kind of defeats all that. And so often, as people, that have all of our fingers and all pieces of our heads and everything, it's so distracting. I still can't believe how many meetings I'm having with advisors with these terrible green screens and, they move and half their head is missing. I'm
Yeah.
like, you don't want those things that are so distracting that people are going to completely miss your message and the value you bring. So
Yes.
there are ways to do green screen correctly. And, I've had to do it when I've been moving or we've had an empty house for different reasons. So you can kind of recreate your authentic background with a green screen in certain situations. But honestly, even if you're traveling and, maybe you have to go do caretaking or there's been a family emergency or whatever,
Yep.
that's still a piece of authenticity that you can share. And, like I just said, I'm in a hotel. I don't have a green screen,
Yeah.
and I've told all of you we're living in a hotel right now, right? That's part of it. So, Jim, I personally would say no green screen, stick with an authentic background. And like Charlie shared, he's got some vintage surfboards and everything. That creates a conversation.
Yeah. And we are, we're close to the ocean. I like to do mine if I'm just doing this is my video equipment when I'm on location, right? So if I'm just doing a handheld video, I like to walk across the street and shoot it with the Atlantic Ocean in the background. Not because, it's beautiful and that's cool and all that. Again, it says something about me, right?
Yep.
It's a conversation starter. Oh, where are you? Whatever that is, right? So there is an authenticity and a piece of the personality that comes through because of that setting.
Yeah. And I just want to acknowledge Rose's comment there. They've got a college planning branch and, hundreds of competing college planning advisors in our area. But every workshop they do, they get a comment like, I had no idea there was such a service out there. And that's, getting out there and spreading the word. And think about how many millions of people out there could absolutely use the services that all of you provide, but they have no idea that that exists.
Right.
And the other piece of that is, as we increase demand for advisors, we also need to be attracting more into the profession. And so as we think about those two levers, getting these videos out there and showing people that, being a financial advisor is not cold calling to sell penny stocks, it's not
Right.
working on Wall Street necessarily, changing that conversation as well.
Yep. Love it. So Katie, how'd you get started with video? Tell me about your personal story around video, if you would.
Yeah, so my story in a nutshell is I actually got my degree in photography in Australia. So I always say the totally natural path into financial planning. And I got kicked out after I graduated. They changed the immigration system, got kicked out. So my mother ran a successful RIA in Seattle, where I'm originally from. So I worked for her and it was AUM only. And I ended up running all of the day-to-day of the business. So I knew the compliance and the billing, and I knew exactly what we provided for clients and what they paid us. And I gotta say, they paid us really well and did not quite get what I would think was fair. So I kind of came to a fork in the road and I was literally being handed a very successful business. And I was like, I don't believe personally that this is the future. And so I got my CFP certification and I left and started one of the first completely virtual monthly retainer financial planning businesses.
Wonderful.
And that's when I really started speaking out about how we need to evolve and reach more people and do things differently. And technology is allowing us to do that. And so I was actually leveraging video in my business back in 2013. So it's been a bit of a winding path. And since then, I've had the pleasure of working with financial planners in 35 countries. But Charlie, I kind of like took these paths and finally brought them together. And I was like, I love the creative side of my brain. Now I get to tell my parents my degree was not for naught. So I get to leverage video and my passion for growing the financial planning profession. And so now I spend all my time helping advisors leverage authentic video in their business.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you're reaching so many more people by leveraging the advisors that you work with, helping so many people on the on the end of that.
Exactly.
Here's one of the things that I hear often from advisors. Oh, I'm no good in front of the camera. Oh, what would I talk about? Right.
Yep.
So there is, and I know that, I know a lot of that is maybe excuses for not getting started. What advice would you have for those advisors?
Start simple. So I tell everybody, right? And I think as financial planners, we're so used to operating at such a high level and all of the complex things that we know, we sometimes make things more complicated than they need to be. So I recommend everybody start absolutely simple, and so simple that I actually mean start with one-to-one gratitude videos or happy birthday videos. And it's so funny when I present this live, a lot of advisors are like, oh, like whatever. And it's right because it's not complicated enough. It's not fancy enough. But the
Yeah.
thing is, I mean, Charlie, you were just talking about golf. I remember when I learned to golf, oh my goodness, all of the foundational things you need to know. How do you cross over your hands? Which one do you lock? Do you not? What do you do with your knees? Right? You can't just get out there, even with the most expensive set of clubs, and expect to hit a hole in one. You
Right.
have to start at that foundational piece. And it's not always fun. But the thing is, when it comes to video, it actually should be fun. And the ROI you get from doing these is amazing. So, like, let's say take happy birthday messages, for example.
Yeah.
If you're on LinkedIn, a lot of people are active on LinkedIn. Charlie, you and I are. It always
Yep.
gives you, these 5 people have a birthday today. So I love hopping in there and sending a video message, just like 30 seconds. Same thing you would say in a voicemail, or if you saw somebody in your office. And the amount of times I get back responses from people that are like, I took today
Oh
off
my
and I've gotten
God.
over 100 messages, and yours was the only one I responded to.
Mm-hmm.
So think about the power of doing that with either your longest client or a center of influence, or, maybe a prospect that you've interacted with but hasn't gone to the next step. And then think about the value of, let's say they're going to be at dinner tonight and they're like, oh, how was your day? And they're like, I got a video from my advisor. Somebody else is like, your advisor, what did they, I'm looking for a new advisor. And we're talking literally 30 seconds of your time.
Yep.
And so by doing this, and I've sent videos after I've gone for a run and my hair is sweaty and I'm gross and I've got a hat on and I look terrible, but I send it because it's authentic.
Yeah.
And then the thing is, people then respond, they're like, oh, where do you run? How often do you run? Have you done a marathon? Right? It starts this whole different conversation and builds that relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing because we do, I send the happy birthday messages every day, right? Log in, see who's there. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. It's simple. Takes me a lot less time than the 30 seconds to do the video, but I don't get a lot of thanks, or, it doesn't, if I just, it's just the, it's the pre-written LinkedIn message. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it's not personal. It's not interesting.
Yeah. We got a couple questions rolling in. So Tom is curious, the balance between authenticity and compliance, right? So in a world where your marketing messages need to be reviewed, and I would think like with the happy birthday message, if it's a different message for each person, maybe it doesn't require that compliance review. I know also a lot of firms have gone to reviewing content in arrears, so you can make your post, and if they tell you it doesn't fit compliance, take it down. Katie, what advice would you have in balancing authenticity with the timeline that it might take compliance to get that video out?
Yeah, so this is kind of the other reason why I like starting with this. And hey, Tom, it has been a while. Great to see you here. Is when you're doing these, it's the same thing as a voicemail. So I've actually been chatting with a compliance specialist, and they're going to come and do a webinar in the Innovating Advice community soon, because this is a question that keeps coming up. But the thing is, when it's these one-to-one messages, I always say, if you would say it in a voicemail, it's exactly the same thing, right? Only you're on video. So compliance would never ask for you to record and archive your voicemails. And so this is also a nice way to introduce video into your business.
Yeah.
Is just doing these quick little things. And I know we got another question on, the apps that I use for video. So Charlie, do you want me to share my screen and go through?
Yeah, go for it. One of my questions coming up, Katie, was let's talk about equipment. Now, we know video is important, and, but if for the beginner, what would you recommend? So you should have, there you go. Okay, cool. So let's talk about equipment, and then the apps that you're using today to, to produce video and make it easy on yourself.
Yeah. So first of all, Keep it simple. Charlie, I'm absolutely not exaggerating. At least once a week, I must say I'm averaging twice a week. I get on calls with advisors that show me boxes that they have of all this equipment they bought,
Yep.
new lights and teleprompters and cameras and microphones. And they're like, I bought this, 12 months ago, and they've never taken it out of the box.
Right.
So don't get caught up in thinking that you need all this fancy stuff. As you said earlier, if we really dig down deep to what's going on there, these are just excuses. Yep. Keep it simple. You've got everything that you need. Again, I got a degree in photography, right? I used to spend so much money on cameras that are not as good a quality as what we all have in our pockets right now. You don't need anything else.
Yeah.
I do recommend a selfie stick. And even I have a negative connotation with those from, teenage girls and traveling around the world, but they're like $9 and it makes it worth it. Yeah. And you'll notice here, she's holding it in landscape mode. So unless you're doing TikToks or Instagram stories, record in landscape mode. And this is one of those interesting things, right? We're so used to holding our phone in portrait, but it's almost a subconscious thing. If you're recording in portrait mode and people can't see what's going on around you, that can actually kind of limit the trust factor. Because even if people aren't thinking in the forefront of their brains, in the back, they might be like, well, where are you? Why can't I see what's going on? Right? We've already got that. Oh, they're criminals, right? People already have bad thoughts about advisors. So just make sure people can see your environment. Like your great videos, Charlie, when you're down on the beach, it's also, we're just way more engaging.
Yeah.
So record in landscape mode, get that selfie stick. And then, because I love doing videos outside, it's my favorite way of multitasking. Right? We spend way too much time sitting at our desks, hunched over, there's no energy there. Stand up, get that blood flowing, go outside, get fresh air, best excuse to get exercise while also doing videos. So it's like a triple multitasking win. So you'll be outside, grab a lav mic. So just those little ones like speakers at conferences and, TV presenters, honestly, these are, I don't know, $20. Yeah. And grab one that plugs directly into your phone, Android, whatever. That way it'll just block out the noise. If you're at a park or it's a windy day or whatever, you want that audio to come through clearly. Charlie, that's honestly all you need.
Yeah, I completely agree. Right. And I don't even run the mic now. So when I'm doing it, and my wife is also a photographer. She's got I don't even know what the camera she uses. And if we do a highly produced video, we'll typically use that DSLR with video on it. But this is an iPhone 11. She's got an iPhone 13. She shoots even professional photos more with her iPhone 13. The camera's better than the one that she's invested $1,200, $1,400, $1,600 in the body alone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was actually just at Morningstar headquarters in Chicago last week, and even interviewing the CEO and the CIO. I've got a fancier camera that we did some longer form interviews with. This is great for traveling, but then for little promo videos, and we are on TikTok. Just use my iPhone and put it in cinematic mode, and the people that were there were like, "Oh my gosh, this looks amazing!" And I was like, "Yeah, it's all you need. It's come so far."
Yeah. So we got a couple comments rolling in, Katie. So we'll cover that a little bit.
Sure.
Tulawani, I don't know if I got your name pronounced correctly, but same basic question on the heavy-handedness of compliance and balancing authenticity. So hopefully, as I've seen, Katie, and I would imagine you echo the same. Like, when we rolled out with websites, we started doing websites in 1998. Very simple websites at that point, right? Yeah. So I've been what I feel like is part of this kind of digital revolution or evolution of the industry. And compliance has become a lot more friendly at most firms than they were even 3 or 4 years ago. FINRA's become a lot more friendly or a lot more open to these new marketing communication channels. What I find is, and I mentioned a little bit earlier, the biggest change compliance has made is reviewing in arrears, right? So for most firms now, and double check your compliance policy, but for most firms, so long as you're not talking about something securities related, make the post. They're going to tell you if you need to take that post down, right? There's still a lot of firms that want you to submit ahead of time. But again, even, some of the tighter compliance firms, if you're not talking about securities, they don't have an issue with it whatsoever. Yeah. Right. So I think compliance is getting easier for this type of marketing communication. It certainly is getting easier, and we'll just, continue to accommodate the requests of advisors, though they're a little slow to that.
They are, but they are getting there. And I'm like, just start simple and ease them into it as well. Because again, most of you on this call, and hey, Tulu, it's great to see you here. And I would love to catch up, is that, you're not ready to do those highly produced long form videos, right? So go on that journey together. And, Charlie, I keep thinking, I'm like, I've got to put together some kind of like, I don't know, round table with all these compliance people and say, look, can we all just get in the room and talk? And Charlie,
Yeah,
maybe you would help facilitate
I would
that.
love to help facilitate that conversation.
Yeah, I think they are getting more friendly. The BD side, maybe not so much, but the RIA side, it is a lot easier. And yeah, we just need to introduce this and go on that path.
Yeah, agreed. First off, Bruce says we look great, Katie. So thanks, Bruce. And you mentioned a fan in the. So I must have a fan spinning over here in one of these photo reflections. That is not on purpose, Bruce. That's just a little airflow coming in my office. That's all that is. So, and Pat's here. Pat, how you doing? So do we suggest to send video via text message, email, or another medium? Katie, what do you think of personal? Yeah,
I'll go into video, I think. Some other slides here. Hey, Taryn, man, Charlie, we have got a great group here.
We got a great group, Katie. We got great turnout.
Yeah, this is amazing. Okay, before we get into that, 'cause that's, I think, the next slide, I just want to say, because that was kind of talking about what to do when you're outside and just using your smartphone. But a lot of people are like, look, I'm in my office. I want to be in my office. I want that background. Totally get that. Yeah. So the only real thing I would highly, highly recommend is that everyone have a USB microphone. So get a microphone that plugs into your computer, because the interesting thing is, we all got thrown into this virtual world and we can't hear ourselves, right? No matter what speaker or microphone we're using, we sound the same. So Charlie, I'll just do a super quick demonstration just between this microphone here so that you can hear it. And then I'm going to keep talking. And I'm just going to go to my computer microphone. Wow. So this is coming out of just my laptop speaker, and how many people are just using that, and see how it, I'm in this big hotel room, and right, the audio it's distracting.
Yeah. So it's a hollow echo out of the computer, but yeah.
But the thing is, I sound the same to myself. So think about, again, what are those things that help make it not distracting when you're having client meetings, you're talking about these serious things, you're recording video, whatever it is, make sure that you've got that good audio. And seriously, there's a microphone at every single budget. Yeah. So hop on Amazon.
I picked this up, a week or two ago. And I was always on my computer audio, and you commented on it right away when I had a new, I had a new mic, and you noticed the difference immediately. This is an Audio Technica microphone. I think they call it the AT2100. That's
exactly what I have, Charlie.
Awesome. I'm following good footsteps or something like that. Then it came with the boom arm for, I think it was $119. Yep. Now it's got 3 or 4 different adapters on the back of the mic, so I can plug in with USB or whatever my if I've got a soundboard, I could plug into that directly. I don't. Yeah. But so this is wired directly into the computer through USB. So so you don't have to break the bank to get a good mic.
You don't. And just since you mentioned the boom arm, people are like, what on earth is a boom arm? So I love those. And you see, I actually list it here on the slide. Yeah, it's the fact that when you're talking, right, you can move the mic wherever you want. And then when you're done with meetings, just get it out of the way. So I've still got full access to my keyboard and mouse and everything else, versus if you just have a microphone in the middle of your desk, right, it's too distracting. So I'm constantly thinking, Charlie, of all these things to make it as easy as possible, right? Because any of these barriers, you all have enough going on, you're gonna be like, nope, not doing it today.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Now, I was also told, Katie, recently that putting a microphone in front of your camera makes your IQ go up 15 points. I don't know if that's true. Do I seem smarter today than I did the other day? All right. Cool, Katie. So listen, we're talking about keeping it simple, right? Yep. And I don't want to get ahead of you, because this is an important message. I'll hold my question back. You go ahead.
Yeah, well, I just want to make sure because, and I forgot I have this one in there, but for some people, this will be the most valuable takeaway. If you have not heard of Crisp.ai, that's the website, then it is this magical piece of software that overlays. And another thing I hear, another one of those excuses, people are like, oh yeah, but I'm in a loud office, or I'm working from home, my
Yeah.
kids are screaming, or my spouse is on the call, or whatever it is. Crisp removes all that sound. So honestly, and this has happened, we could have the roof being replaced overhead right now, and you wouldn't be able to hear it. I would, so I probably wouldn't hear my own thoughts,
Yeah.
but it is a game changer. So again, remove those distractions from those meetings. It's free for up to 240 minutes a week, or it's a whopping $60 a year. Amazing investment.
Yeah. Love that.
And I'm not an affiliate. It's amazing.
Yeah. Just good software. Love to share good software.
Yes. Okay. So the question, getting to finally, what do I actually use to send videos? So again, use what you've got. So for a lot of advisors, you're already using Loom. So if you're using that, just stick with it. There's no need to complicate it, add expenses or anything else. Just make sure if you're using Loom and you like it, you can actually integrate it directly into your email client. So again, removing any additional steps. So like I'm on Google, you can do it on Outlook, and I've got it right there, just the record button right in my email. I'll record a video. Hey, Charlie, happy birthday. Hope you're doing well. And then hit send. And then that'll show a little GIF. But make sure when people click on that and they go to Loom, that it's white labeled for you. Because Loom really loves their own branding. And if clients click and they go there and they're not familiar with Loom and it's got Loom all over the place, that just doesn't help your brand. So it's really easy to white label it.
I think, Katie, this is a good time for Rob's question. Rob uses BombBomb for video email, likes it.
Awesome.
He's looking for a platform, and maybe Loom does this. I'm not aware of it, but you could probably speak to it better. He's looking for a platform that would house his videos, so that if someone watches a video that they like and they want to consume more content, are you aware of any, like BombBomb or like Loom or one of these platforms that Rob could actually have, like, let's say his own channel or his own page where he's housing, multiple videos?
So there are a few ways you could do that. And I don't want to get too complicated. So maybe Rob, feel free to reach out. And if this is something more people have a question on, I could do a, post on LinkedIn or something following. So one of the things that I have done in the past is linked, like I'll actually put the video on a page on my website. Because that's the other thing, is think about where are you sending people to? And if you've got these videos, rather than sending them to a different website, it's always better to send them to yours. So that's harder if you're sending one-to-one videos. But with BombBomb, and Rob, you would know, you can put that call to action at the top. So you could say, if you're interested in more videos, click here. And that could go to, your Vimeo channel, that could go to your YouTube channel. If you have a video page on your website, you can send people there. That might be one way to do it.
Yeah, cool.
So with BombBomb, that's what I use, hands down. Or was there another question on Loom, Charlie?
No, keep going on that topic. This is going to be a different topic. So I don't want to switch gears until you're all set there.
Okay. So I use BombBomb for all of my video emails. So I was just sending some this morning. And again, I do it because it's the easiest thing there is. Open up the email, Outlook or Gmail, hit record the video. And again, when people go there, it's white labeled to me. And I permanently, in the upper right-hand corner, which I don't know my screen, but in the upper right-hand corner, I permanently have a schedule a call button. That way I don't ever have to forget. So if people want to schedule a call, they can, or if I'm responding and saying, hey, let's hop on a call soon, I'll say, you can schedule it right here. So that just makes it super easy. It's a good experience. And again, people love it. Like, it surprises and delights people all the time.
Yeah, it's different, right? Makes you stand up.
Yeah,
I love it too. So the next question comes from a very good golfer in our network. It's actually from Blaine. And I will share with you, because I did mention that I golfed with Blaine on Friday. He kicked my butt. I mean, seriously, don't golf with Blaine. And if you're going to, don't bet money on it. Blaine's wondering what your input, Katie, is on using video as a lead-in or introduction throughout a website.
Yes.
Yes, agreed.
Blaine, did you go on my website? I promise I didn't plant this question. After this webinar, or if you all want to open it up now. So actually, that's one way that I use video. So if you go to innovatingadvice.com, so right at the top, and it's going to be way too much me all at once, but there's a video of me, and it's using Video Ask, which is here on the screen. And it's what I call a choose your own adventure. So this is a really great thing to do, especially for all of you, sole practitioners and small businesses. You can have all kinds of options. And so it's just like, I don't know, 10 seconds, like, hey, let me know what you're here for. You can click to blog posts. You can send people to schedule a call. You can send people to another video. You can send people anywhere. It's amazing. And then that is just such a huge differentiator for people to go to a website and see somebody's face.
Yeah,
That's
agreed.
something that, I mean, when we talk about advisor websites, it's kind of all being a variation of a theme, and most of them are not that great.
Yeah.
This is one thing to just stand out.
Well, and I'll comment on that real quick. There was a survey by one of the prominent website providers in our industry, and I don't know how many people they sent the survey out to, but I received it. And their ask was to go through 30 of their websites and just give our impression based on a number of criteria. They sent me a $50 Amazon gift card, so I was very happy to do it for them. And I don't even remember what I picked up for that $50. Maybe, I don't know, maybe a mic or something. I will tell you that the websites that stood out of those 30, and there weren't very many of them, were highly personalized. Most advisors, right, are going to take and it's compliance and it's marketers that have kind of done this to the industry. Most advisors are going to take what's pre-approved, right? What's given to them, because that's the path of least resistance. Yeah. If you take a little bit of time, pass an introductory video through compliance, get that on your website, get pictures of you instead of the stock images. If you live in Florida, please don't put mountains as your hero image, right? If you take the time to personalize that website, and video is a big component of that, your website's going to stand out like head and shoulders above. If I reviewed 30 websites that day, Katie, probably 4 or 5 I would call personalized. Yeah. So, simple stuff, right? Using simple tactics to personalize that experience for your website visitor. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, very cool. We got one other here, and it was from Esther. Esther, would you just go to Amazon and put in scissor boom arm? Yeah, really, if you put in a boom arm, you're going to find plenty of options. And they're pretty universal. I know when this one arrived a couple of weeks ago, it had a couple different adapters, so it would have fit several different mics. So yeah, that's exactly what you would do. So.
Yeah, and Esther, I will be adding all these inside my community. I've got all these equipment recommendations. So I'm debating opening that resources part of my community up to everyone, because I always get these questions, and I link directly to, if you want this mic or this price point or this whatever. But maybe I'll also put that on my website soon. But thanks for reminding me. Again, I try to make things easy, so I'll see how I can make that easier for everyone.
Yeah. So, Katie, one of the questions that I get a lot, right? We're talking about keeping the video simple. We're talking about not over-investing in equipment, right? Now, there's a lot of variables for the apps, and there's a lot to kind of unpack with the capabilities of those apps. But for the most part, the theme is keep it simple. The equipment's not going to cost you a whole lot of money. Do you have any ideas on how we would measure ROI for video, or maybe not even video, but for content marketing?
Yeah, well, that's the other reason, honestly, Charlie, why I recommend starting simple, because I've talked with a lot of advisors that are like, hey, I've been putting out videos and I'm doing a video a week and I'm not seeing results. And that can be from a host of reasons, but oftentimes it's kind of trying to go too far too fast, right? You need to build more of that audience and get comfortable and find your voice. And, trying to do that can be more challenging, right? When you're doing that one to many, it is harder. And so starting with that smaller group of 1-to-1, doing those happy birthday messages, introductions to people, send, a gratitude video. If a center of influence refers a client to you, just send them a quick video that says, hey, I just want to let you know, I just met with Charlie. We had a great meeting. We're going to be working together. I really appreciate it. Charlie was a perfect client, and, I'm glad that we know each other and whatnot. Again, whatever you would say in a voicemail. And again, that will stick in their mind. And so the next time they have an ideal client, you're going to come up instantly. And so those are little things where we might not actually see the ROI, but you can trace it back pretty quickly. And the amount of times I hear from people, they say, it's because of your video. Or Charlie, you're like, people know that RV video. It will start to really pay dividends. And then I'll just say, like, as you go a little bit further, one of the things I love working with advisors on lately is, a lot of advisors are like, look, I've been doing a blog, or I have a, monthly newsletter and put out an article, and, do I do video on top of that? And it's more work. Keep it simple, right? Keep it super simple. And advisors are starting to do like 30 to 45-second videos on why you wrote that blog post or that newsletter article, right? Because think about it, what's the why? Clients are inundated with all kinds of newsletters. And so if you can just quickly tell them why they should read that, why that topic is important, maybe it'll relate to, hey, I have a sick family member and we're talking about elder care, so I wrote about that. Right? That's why. And then that'll get in their head, and then they'll reach out, and then you'll have a conversation. And even just the act of seeing your face, it creates that celebrity effect.
It does.
Not that you're going to be recognized and asked for an autograph in a grocery store, but the act of continually seeing somebody's face is so powerful and keeps you top of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. LinkedIn, and that's the platform that I know the best, right? Certainly we do some things with Facebook and Instagram and others. But most of my time spent on social media is definitely LinkedIn. I've noticed, Katie, that recently the views for content have gone down, specifically with video. Right. We do a lot of research on this stuff. So what I put this out there because I don't want advisors to be discouraged. If they put a video together and they put it in the newsfeed on LinkedIn, post it to LinkedIn, and it gets, say, 200 views, where maybe they did a video 6 months ago and it got 2,000 views. I want everybody to be aware that those views are counted differently now. So LinkedIn has baked in what they call dwell time. So in order to get a view on a video now, there's actually got to be there's got to be a moment where the person lingers on that, as opposed to it just rolling through a newsfeed. So when you go from 2,000 to 200 views on a video, don't be discouraged by that. Those 200 views are high value views. I mean, those are people that are actually consuming the video instead of just cruising past the video. The other thing is there are a lot of lurkers out there, and I get this, a couple times a week. Charlie, I've been watching your content for a few years. I've never seen you before. Who are you? Right. So, that the videos they do make a huge impression, whether you see that immediately or not. And it is hard to track a direct ROI, but it's making a difference when someone says, I've been watching your content for 3 years. Wow. That's awesome. Very cool.
Yep. So, So, it's huge.
Esther, yes, absolutely. If you've got a Shure mic, it's probably better than my AT mic. So go ahead and use that. And I'm just trying to get caught up here. We get talking and questions come in. Katie, how do you compensate for lighting for glasses?
Yeah.
Right.
Charlie, I should ask you that question. No,
I don't even know. I don't honestly, I don't concern myself with it a whole lot. Right. I guess maybe my light's in the right place. I got a circle light behind the laptop here. And if I tip up, you can see it. But I think it's just right at the right angle that, I don't get the glare.
Well, it's that. So the trick is actually to have your lights as high as possible.
Okay.
So if I was wearing glasses right now, you would see that I have a light there and a light there because they're actually right at eye level. Yeah. And so when you have glasses, and I'll do that once we live in a house, is put lights just really high. And that also just gives a lot more like nice, even lighting. Ideally, you'll kind of have a key light and a fill light, but that gets too complicated. But high, but you'll see a lot of people that wear glasses. You want to make sure that it's like at this perfect angle, right? Because you don't want the rim of your glasses to cut off your eye so that everything's dark. So you need it like just below that so that you can still clearly see your eyes.
I think I just got lucky, but yes, that the circle light is, like well above my head, kind of facing down.
It would have to be.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So Katie Randall asks, what's the ideal length, right? What's the ideal length of a video? She's guessing 2 minutes or less for short attention.
Yeah, it's short attention. And so like in our video creation masterclass, we always teach just record 1 to 2 minute videos. And that's for a few reasons. A, it is the short attention span, but B, it's to really condense your message. So we've all gone to conferences, we've all met advisors. I'm not saying any of you listening are like this, but humans in general can be long-winded and just talk and talk and talk. And when we think about financial topics, I still am a CFP professional, even though I'm not practicing. I know a lot of these things, and doing these master classes with financial planners, they'll turn in, 6 or 9 minute videos. And I'm like, I know this stuff. And even I'm like, whoa,
Yeah.
Right. So we really underestimate how much we know that our audience doesn't. So that's actually the reason I recommend truncating it down. Make it simple and digestible and relatable and actionable to your target audience.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you've got a topic that you feel like requires more time, perhaps you're making an intro video to that topic that then will present the longer video if someone's interested.
Sure.
Right.
Yep.
So yeah, make an introductory video there. So love it. Jeff Thomas, our friend from Boston, is a funny dude.
Jeff, we like you. You're great.
Yeah, he's a funny dude.
I would totally agree. Yes. Yeah. Rectangle lights. So this might fall on me. This is actually, again, because we're in a hotel, I don't have my real lights, but this is like a surprisingly powerful little cube light. And this also provides a lot of different, color options and everything. But yeah, circle lights, just based on how they are, can be a lot more challenging with glasses.
Yeah. We've got one of those block lights around here somewhere, which I love, but
Well, just going to fall on me at some point.
I saw that happen. That was great. Okay. We talked a little bit about what we're sending. Talk us a bit about we talked about good setting. I'm just kind of looking at some of the questions you and I discussed, Katie, prior to our conversation. This is a
Charlie,
good one.
if you want, I got like 2 more slides. Did you want me to finish going through those?
Yeah, go for it. I've got a couple other good ones here, but I'll hold them back. Go for it. Why don't you share and we'll wrap that up.
Yes, I think there were only like 2 more here, just because I want to make sure to finish answering that question as well. So I said, if you go on LinkedIn, it's like, hey, these 5 people have a birthday. If you're really active on LinkedIn, like Charlie and I are, and that's a place where your target clients are, right? If you're connected with them and you're going to see their birthday, then Vidyard is the best platform for that because it integrates directly into LinkedIn Messenger. So again, keep it easy rather than going somewhere else and recording and copying a link and pasting it in. Even I don't want to do that. So Vidyard is just right in there. You can go on LinkedIn Messenger, open it up, record, and send. And Charlie is always my test. So usually when I'm doing webinars and stuff, I keep sending Charlie. I'm like, hey, I'm just testing it. So Charlie, thank you for being a trooper on all of my random Vidyards.
I learned too.
And then Video Ask is just the best asynchronous. So if any of you have questions that I didn't answer, go to my website, innovatingadvice.com. And on every page, I have a talk to me button in the bottom right. And with that, you can send me a text message, like a written message, an audio message, but I love getting video messages. So again, that's a really fun thing that you can add to your website, and you can actually encourage people to send you a video. So if you work with, people in the tech sector or just tech savvy people, how cool would they think that would be if they're like, hey, I can send you a video message and then you can send one back. It's just, to me, it's a game changer.
Yeah, I love it.
And then I know, Charlie, one of the questions we're going to get to, so I'll jump the gun if you don't mind.
All right, go for it. Yeah, get in there.
Everyone's like, how do I edit? Right. And you're like, I'm an advisor. I'm a planner. I don't have time to edit, but I love Descript and I love their promo video. So honestly, I've watched it, I don't know, 100 times. It just brings joy and happiness. So it's just descript.com. And this is, again, it's like magic. It's magic like Crisp is. And it's literally as easy as editing a Word doc. So sometimes if I'm talking and I do a video, I very rarely edit anything. But if I totally go off script or I forgot what I said, in Descript, you honestly, it auto transcribes and you just delete it like a Word doc, and it edits it right out. You can also add captions crazy easily. You can trim the front, trim the back. It's magic, Charlie. I love magic, clearly.
I have not. Yeah. Auto magical.
Auto magical. That's Taryn.
That is Taryn.
I know that's Taryn.
Good job. I got a kick out of that. I haven't used a script yet, so I've got to get in there. I do a lot of post-production. I'm on a Mac, so I do a lot of post-production through iMovie, which is probably really simple. One of the things I learned recently about Zoom, and this was important for me. When you record Zoom videos or Zoom meetings, if you record that to the cloud, you get one file. Your audio and your video file are combined. I learned recently that if I record that to my computer or an external drive, they actually come as 2 files, right? So I can separate files. So that was a big thing for me, right? Because when we do, like, for example, when I do post-production on this, I'll go through iMovie. And in the beginning, I'll put slides in over the video.
Yeah.
Right. So that was maybe everybody knew that. I don't know. I didn't know that. Right. So,
no.
So that's record your Zoom. If you're recording Zoom meetings, record that to your computer or an external, record it locally, because then you get an audio and a video file as opposed to both being combined. So you can separate those in post-production if you need to.
Yeah, which can be huge. And I did see a question come in on, can you add background music? Yes, you can add background music. You can add overlays. You can add, it's fascinating how much you can do in there. So yeah, hop on and watch their demo. And honestly, it's one of those things where you watch the demo and you're like, okay, we're all taught if it sounds too good to be true, it is.
Yeah,
and I kind of thought that at first, and I was like, oh my gosh, no, this is amazing. It is auto magical.
Yeah, I love that word. So Katie, you and I could chat about this forever. We have, so, but we are coming up on the top of the hour. So I want to we got about 9 minutes left, 8 minutes left. I love that we get the questions in between because it becomes conversational. Couple things I want to make sure that we focus on. Are there any specific topics advisors should focus on, and equally as important, avoid when creating video?
Yes, well, I think the avoid one is easy. Anything that would most definitely be flagged by compliance. Like you said, anything securities related, just anything that you wouldn't say. Honestly, Charlie, I've never worked with an advisor where we've ever had a conversation where I'm like, whoa, don't say that on video, right? 99% of people just wouldn't do that. Then where should you start? So when you're thinking like, okay, I want to create that one-to-many content, or maybe you're thinking you want to leverage YouTube and the search capabilities and target your your target client, then I love frequently asked questions videos. So with these, think about your target client, because the thing is, you all have a million thoughts in your mind and information that you can share, but is that going to attract the right person? Right? It's not worth it if it's not going to. So it's awesome to start a video saying exactly who it's for and what it is. And then if you can have like 3 points. So if you say, a question we often get from our, medical resident doctors living in the Northeast is, what do you do with student loans? So I'm going to be sharing the 3 top tips for what you do with medical student loan debt. Right? That's going to get it instantly. So awesome. People are going to know, okay, this is for me, or this is for my, sister or my colleague or my best friend. Share that video out. They're going to know they're going to stick around for 3 tips. And the nice thing is you can remember those 3 things, because another question people always say, what about a script? Don't do a script. If you can read a script, move to Hollywood and get paid millions. It's really, really hard to read a script, and people just come off awkward, which does not make for good viewing. So if you're like, it's just going to be 3 things, you'll remember those, right? You'll be like, first thing is, second thing. And that's your way of kind of having that script top of mind.
Yeah, I love it. And I'm a huge, we preach choosing a niche all the time. Yeah. Right. For a couple of different reasons. First off, there are almost 700,000 registered reps and RIAs in our country. Right. Huge competition. So when you choose a niche and you get narrow in that niche, you remove a lot of competition. Second, exactly to your point, Katie, is you personalize your communication, right? So when you're speaking to a specific audience, that resonates with them, right? So if you present it as, here's 3 tips for medical professionals, right? You're speaking very personally to their needs. So I'm a big advocate of making sure you get narrow with your niche, remove the competition. What's that rhyme? The riches are in the niches, or something like that.
Yeah. And it could be anything, right? Because I know I feel like the debate is kind of bubbling up again. The thing is, your niche could be, people that like traveling. Like, I feel like we keep thinking about it in terms of a profession, but that's not always accurate. You could take a 38-year-old paralegal working in the same firm at the same salary, but one of them is going through divorce. One of them has an ailing parent. One of them, is single and loves traveling the world. Right? I mean, those are 3 completely different situations. So.
Yeah, very cool. So we've got Monique asked the question more about video ask. So this is going to be in your ballpark, Katie. Incorporating video ask into website and email correspondence. Any other tips there?
Yeah. So I don't, interestingly, I guess I use it for email sometimes. I use BombBomb. It's just anytime you will encourage a two-way, right? So I use BombBomb on my emails just because most people I know aren't comfortable responding. So I don't even pressure that, but I teach a video creation masterclass in a community focused on video. So yeah, that's a way to say, hey, you joined, let's start by sending a video ask back. But when it comes to the website, like I said, hop on mine or go to, I think it's Tate Law. Look up Tate Law. He's got my favorite website for how he has incorporated video ask into his. So in all honesty, I copied what he did because I was like, this is fantastic. So using it for that choose your own adventure, when you go to schedule a call with him, then it pops up with another video and he explains exactly what you're going to get in that call. So think about how powerful that is, for people coming to you for the first time, for prospects, where before they schedule that discovery meeting, they're seeing your face and you're letting them know exactly what to expect in that prospect meeting. And then you can absolutely send them a video ask, and encourage them if they want to write back. But also doing that talk to me button. Like I said, that's different, right? We're so used to those automated pop-ups that just kind of have those, automated people and everything. But this adds that extra level of personalization and something different.
Yeah. Bruce gives some good advice for everybody who must use a teleprompter if they've got a script that has to go through compliance or something like that, is to center that so your eyes are moving less. We used to shoot quite a bit of video. It was kind of a traveling show we did. We traveled with the teleprompter and the green screen and some pre-approved scripting. One thing I learned in that too was if you move your head ever so slightly while you're kind of reading off that teleprompter, it hides your eyes from moving also. So we don't want to be awkward or stiff, but a little bit of movement helps hide that as well. Katie, we're getting close. I want to ask one really important question. And this is going to lead me to talking a little bit about post-party for those people who don't know what it is yet. Yeah. What tips can you give for creating greater exposure for the video you're sharing on social media, specifically LinkedIn?
Yeah, one of the things would be kind of have evergreen content, right? Because if, like you were saying, Charlie, and then the way that LinkedIn has changed their algorithm, if you do something, you put it out one time and you're like, not enough people saw it, and you're like, okay, I'm never going to do that again. Yeah. If you create that evergreen content, keep dripping it out. Because guess what? Some people were on vacation that day. They were out sick. They didn't check LinkedIn. There's nothing wrong with actually putting the same content out there repeatedly. And even for the people that did see it, seeing it again is a good thing, right? Yeah. That repetition is very good. And besides that, it's got to be post-party.
Yeah, post-party. And I'm going to give a couple others ahead of post-party, but post-party, that's where the magic's at, right? The auto magical. So tagging people. Right. Yep. When you and I were promoting this webinar, you were tagging me, I was tagging you, right? Tagging businesses. Now, don't get obnoxious. A lot of people put a post out there and they'll tag 50 people, right? Thinking that's going to help with a bunch of exposure. Put that in the first comment. That I think that detracts from the authenticity of what the post is supposed to do, right? Hashtags help a little bit too. But yeah, post-party. Thanks for bringing that up, by the way, post-party. So for those of you, I'm going to explain real quick what an engagement pod is. And Katie and I are part of the same, one engagement pod together. An engagement pod, and it's a good concept, is a group of people who know each other that say, hey, let's all post on Wednesday at noon and we'll comment on each other's stuff. And that'll tickle the LinkedIn algorithms a little bit to put your content in front of a larger audience. It's a great concept and you should do it. Inevitably, what happens is you've got 30 or 35 people who, with their best intention, want to be involved, but you've got 4 or 5 people who are consistent with it. So any engagement pod I've ever been in seems to boil down to 4 or 5 or 6 people that are doing it consistently. But it's a great concept. So what we did is we actually created a piece of software that took this concept and ensured that when you post on LinkedIn, you get 15 comments and 15 likes to your post. And again, it's all about demonstrating that your content has high value to LinkedIn's algorithm. So you can learn more about that software. It's called Postparty. If you go to socialpostparty.com. So you're going to see a video of me telling you all about Postparty. We run 8 post parties a week. I participate in 1 or 2 of those. Nobody does all 8. But at a specific time, you make a post on LinkedIn, you copy the link, put it into the website, and it distributes that to 15 people who are also in that post party. So when you post your content, you're going to get 15 comments on it. Now, you got to return the favor, right? So you're going to, thank you for putting that up there, Katie. So you're going to return the favor. So you got to comment on 15 people's content. But all that does is help show LinkedIn that your content's got a lot of value. So they show it to a much, much, much larger portion of your network that you're growing. So that software is $99 monthly subscription. There's no long-term commitment to it whatsoever. But if you type in the promo code 30 days free, you'll get 30 days free. So you can try it out for a little while. But that's one little tool that we bring to the industry to help get your content in front of a much, much larger audience when you post on LinkedIn.
Yeah, because if you're doing the work, you want the exposure, you want that ROI.
That's right.
And it also emphasized the fact that it is called social media, and we still sometimes forget that the point is social, being interactive, and not just putting stuff out there and hoping the world sees it. So it encourages that when we kind of get a little lazy or too busy with other things.
And that's a great point. And I think Katie, LinkedIn's got a big problem. I think that LinkedIn's problem is they've got, 850 million users or whatever it is at this point. And it's all people with tips and tricks and expertise to give about X, whatever their expertise is, right? And so you've got a lot of people in a sales type role shouting expertise at each other, where getting a little more social, interacting with people more as opposed to just putting the tips out there, and even focusing on something that's maybe a little more personal. Yeah. It tends to get a lot more exposure, because I'm sure LinkedIn realizes they have that problem too, right? Is if it's all a bunch of people shouting expertise at each other, there's not a lot of interaction. So the more you interact, the more exposure you're going to get as well. So Katie Randall is not on mainstream social media besides LinkedIn. Do I think it's important for advisors to be on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok? Katie, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm on everything. Personally, I don't do anything on Facebook. I'm there quite reluctantly. And that's a personal thing, right? I just don't want to. I did join TikTok a week ago. So I am planning on doing a lot more on TikTok, because it's all about video and being authentic and doing fun things. And I think there are actually a lot more people on TikTok, and even your target clients, than people realize, right? Mm-hmm. I still have a very negative connotation with TikTok, but as I keep talking to people, they keep assuring me that it is so much more than just teenage girls dancing that maybe need a hug from mom and dad. Now, there's a lot more on there. Yeah. Charlie, you love it. You're one of those. But the thing is, think about, where is your target client, right? If you work with retirees, people that are already retired, LinkedIn isn't going to be it, right? They're already retired. They don't need to be on there. So that's what you should focus on. First and foremost, where are they? And then second, where do you want to be, right? Because if it's a platform that you don't enjoy, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you're not going to stick with it. That's exactly right. And of course, with all marketing, like when we talk about marketing strategy, you've got to have long-term vision. If you make one video, you might get a result. Chances are you're not going to get a tangible result. If you make 10 videos, those tangible results are going to start to show up. So don't stop after one. Don't stop after 10, right? You've got to get it. You've got to commit yourself to a process and then stick with it and be consistent with it. That's how content marketing works. So,
and when you're doing video, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah. So check out Innovating Advice. I love being part of that community, by the way. So thank you for the value that you bring, not only to me personally, Katie, but the industry. Sincerely. I'm kind of going into wrap up, because I know you and I could chat till 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern time if we wanted to, but
we could. The last thing I just want to make sure that I say is, another big conversation I have with everyone, including myself, is around imposter syndrome and how much we all deal with that. And whether you're new to the profession, whether, maybe it's the firm that you're with or whatever, but a lot of us are capable of so much more and hide back from things. And Charlie, you and I have talked about this. The thing that I never saw coming when I started helping advisors with video is the biggest reward that they have all told me is the boost in confidence. And so, even going into firms and working with, younger advisors that are like, okay, going into your first prospect meeting is terrifying. But once you get comfortable on video and you're like, okay, I should be myself, I should be authentic, then that starts to come through in every other area of your life. And that is also what I'm most passionate about, is getting the true self out of everyone so that you can show that to your clients. We can change the conversation and bring it back to that public perception.
Yeah, that's so cool. Authenticity is the most important part. Well, and getting started, right? Don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. Honestly, I mean, I've raised it a couple of times. This is my video equipment minus maybe the ring light. That's it.
Yep.
I could probably stand to get a mic, and I'll take that to heart. Not this mic, but a lavalier mic, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, it doesn't take more than that. Maybe the selfie stick, maybe a $15 tripod off Amazon.
Yeah. Well, I always encourage people, honestly, if you want to just go on my website, send a video, it can honestly say, oh my gosh, this feels so weird. I've never done this. I'm just trying it out. Katie, you said I could try it out. That literally, it's getting the first thing done. And I will send you a video back. I might be at the grocery store. I might be who knows where. I'll send you a video right back.
Yeah. That's well, we'll see where it comes from, where the video comes from. That might be an interesting thing in and of itself. Where's Katie today?
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, because I've got on my phone, right? So I'm like, somebody sends me a video. I'm like, I'm authentic. Here's where I am. And I just want to acknowledge that you sent the video. And again, that builds that confidence. It's kind of like a compound confidence.
Yeah, I like it. We're inventing words today. Automagical.
I love it. I love it.
Very cool. So, well,
Awesome.
Listen, Katie, thank you for your knowledge, for gracing us today. I appreciate that. I want to thank everybody who showed up. We had a great turnout. We had 200 plus registrations. I think the biggest number I saw in there was, 75 or so attendees. So that's pretty great. That's a really, really great turnout. So it tells me people like you and they like this topic. And so I appreciate everybody taking time out of their day to join us. Thank you, advisors on this call, for the difference you make in people's lives. And Katie, thank you for the difference you make in the industry. Appreciate it.
And thank you for putting this together, Charlie. And really, the interaction from everyone was absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very fun.
Very cool. Fun one to do for sure. I can't believe like an hour. We're 67 minutes into this thing. Of course, you and I were on 10 minutes early. We're an hour and a half into this thing. I feel like we've been talking for 15 minutes.
I know.
So that's crazy.
I love it. Let's do it again.
Let's do it again. I'm into it.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thanks, Katie. Thanks everyone for joining us. We'll get a recording out within the next couple of days.